Welcome to the Emotional Eating Unwrapped podcast. I'm your host, Alana Kessler, an emotional eating and weight loss coach for women looking to fall in love with eating, create healthy attachments with food, and lose weight sustainably. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Emotional Eating Unwrapped. I am so excited to be here. I'm here with my friend and my wedding florist. I feel like you're going to have to give yourself a little bit more context to that, but I'm here with Jes Gordon. She is like an amazing, amazing woman. I'm so excited that she's here and that she is going to chat with you about so many things related to body image, related to emotional eating from her perspective. She is an event producer, a designer, an author, and a mentor. She's just so much. She literally saved my sanity when it came to my wedding. And I'm just so happy you're here. So welcome.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Like I said, we got on our video and we were just chatting and I was like immediately just like, let's record because why not? Right. And you were talking about, what I'm doing these days with emotional eating and why you find it so compelling to come on and chat. I want to hear more.
Yeah, it's really interesting because being out in California, it's so crazy because I go back and forth and you start to collect these friends of all ages. And I tend to gravitate to younger people because I have an enormous amount of energy, which is getting worse and worse as I get older. But I'm really finding that younger women are complaining a lot, almost about having menopausal bodies before they even have them. Like they have like stubborn belly fat or they have high cortisol levels. And for the first time in their lives, they are feeling very heavy and not like themselves. Like they have a layer of fat on them that they can't get rid of, even though all of these women in California are incredibly active. They're incredibly beautiful, even though they might not feel it. And we all go through that. But I find it very fascinating because here I am, a woman in real menopause who understands how that feels. I've had the same, situation up and down. And I just think it's something that nobody talks about and nobody warns you of as being a woman when you go through these different valleys and peaks of your life. It does affect your weight. It does affect your appearance. It affects your skin. It affects everything, your cellular being. And I don't think anybody ever taught us how to connect the dots and how one thing can affect the other. Mm-hmm. And it's almost like a puzzle. It's like you're playing Wordle every day with your fat cells.
You have your own journey and I would love to hear it. I mean, not everybody can speak so intelligently about cortisol, that can make those connections. And I'm curious for you, what was your journey in understanding your body in that way? What has been your journey with that? If you've had a journey with emotional eating, what is your relationship to your body, to how you nourish your body, how you move your body?
Yeah, I think one of my biggest problems, even though it works very well for me, is I am in a constant state of movement. I am one of those people that gets high off of endorphins. And when I don't have them, I go low. Mm-hmm. And for what I do for a living, it's so incredibly physical that my body almost never recovers fully. I'm on a constant state of non-recovery. It seems to work for me because I'm 54 years old and it seems to really work. But, we'll have a big job and the day after, my team and I will wake up and we'll be like, whoa, we didn't eat yesterday. We worked really hard, but we can't get our pants on because our bodies are literally so exhausted, so swollen, retaining any of the water that it can get. It's just one of those situations where I am too active, so my body fights back sometimes. And it's like, at different ages, your body reacts differently. So like maybe in my 20s, by the afternoon, everything would shed out and everything's cool. But it's almost like a stereo, right? Like an equalizer on a stereo to find the perfect sound and harmony. And it's like, how often can we equalize?
What has been your journey with your body image?
I've been really lucky because I was an athlete from the time I was extremely young. So for me, beauty equals strength, not not a certain look. It's more about strength. So if my body was strong and it's performing well, like even if I'm going to like Orange Theory or the gym or something and I'm killing it, to me, that's a beautiful body versus one that looks a certain way. Like, I'm not going to lie. I'm a woman that like, if I look heavy in something or we've got, neck wrinkles or something like that, I'm very aware of it. I think a strong body is a beautiful body, no matter what size. Strength is beautiful.
100%. But for you, and for you specifically, do you feel like when you don't feel like you're in your body in the way that you define as healthy, as making you feel beautiful, do you find that impacts your confidence at all? Do you find that impacts your ability to, obviously you're professional, like you're not going to, take a day off and lay in bed if you don't feel good in your body, but do you find that it impacts your self-esteem, not self-worth, which are two very different things? I know, and that's one of the big things I try to instill in all the women that I work with, is that you're always worthy, but your self-esteem, that's something that can wane or rise depending on what your specific measures are for your own feeling good.
It's so funny because you go through so many different renditions of this. In answer to your question, absolutely. I have moments that I might avoid going out to dinner or something with friends because I'm just not feeling top fit, or knowing that that dinner with friends is going to tip the scale over in the way I don't want it to. Or I think every woman or any person is guilty of this, going out with women friends that happen to be gorgeous and have amazing bodies. It's very hard to put yourself in that pool, feel confident, still feel like who we are as rock stars and still feel beautiful in our own way. It's very hard. We are human. And that's what happens. One of my best friends happens to be 6 foot tall. She looks like Claudia Schiffer. We walk down the street, everybody stares at her, and here I am, like walking next to her. At the end of the day, something great my mom taught me is you have to offer more than being beautiful in this world. You have to offer so much that people feel it off of you when they walk into a room. They don't just see you, they feel you. So in answer to your question, of course, there's days that I want to hide because I'm not feeling great. I'm not going to go to the beach this weekend because I'm not bikini ready at the moment. But on the other part of it, I know I have a lot more to offer than that.
I love that. And I think that to that point, you can be 6 foot, look like Claudia Schiffer. And if you don't have that piece of it,
Exactly.
that self-worth piece of it, that my whole worth and my whole value is not my looks and my thinness or whatever, you're not going to be happy. You're not going to feel worthy either. So it really is that combination of the non-physical worthiness and esteem. But something that, and I think one of the big messages of this podcast is there is value in investing your time, your resources, your prioritization in the physical piece of it, because there is, a narrative now in society, like anti-diet culture, like, body positivity, which I really like, but not as a bypass to what, not as a bypass to some of the work and some of the discipline and some of the things that you need to do in order to really have a holistic, well-rounded, authentic self-esteem.
It's so funny that you bring that up because body positivity, for somebody in my generation, you'll see people walking down the street and they're wearing very tight clothing, very scantily clad, and they might be a very heavy person. And part of me is like, right on, own it, walk down the street. But then the other part of it is like, you know what? It's not healthy to be that heavy. It's just not. It's not heart healthy. And at the end of the day, when they go home, do they feel this way?
Exactly.
Right? Are they just walking the walk and not talking the talk? The other thing is, do you know a term like sexy ugly? Like back in the day, okay, so when we were young, we would fall in love with rock stars like Mick Jagger. Ugliest man in the world. Ugliest, okay? By the definition, the sexiest man in the world. I love things that look different and intriguing. that are not typical. What is the definition of beauty? Is it a Kardashian? Is it, to me, that term sexy ugly is so intriguing because it's somebody that you're very attracted to for so many reasons, because they have their own look. They've created their own style. They have charisma. They have confidence. They have sex appeal. Let's not forget about sex appeal. Where has that gone? It doesn't exist anymore.
That's a whole other conversation, considering there are some narratives out there that is totally not even needed in the world anymore. Right. So I don't know. Like, this is the first time in my life, and I'm 40, I'll be 44 in January. This is the first time in my life that I actually feel like an older generation.
Yeah.
In the past, like maybe COVID, I guess. Mm-hmm. And maybe there is a jump between 38, 39 and 44. And, in general, there definitely is as far as the body stuff goes. You talk about menopause. Like, I'm fully in like
Perry.
Yeah. I'm like waking up in night sweats, like, Oh, yeah. And I look at my Oura ring too, and I'm like, yeah, this makes sense. And it's the same thing also with the body stuff that you talk about. And ironically, and this is something also that I think is really important to say, because you did say you're always go, 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 is that it isn't always doing more and working out harder and working out more intensely that is beneficial for the movement. Sometimes It actually is. And I've noticed for myself, even though like I really want to go do like a run, I'll be like, I'm just going to take a 40-minute stroll with some hills, and get the cliche, like sweat and breathe hard, like you're talking on the phone with your friend, and like a little sweat under your armpits, it's like that. But I feel like that's been so valuable for me as I've gotten older. Like, you want to maintain a certain body image that for me feels like me, like my authentic self. Right. And where I'm not, like you had mentioned, or body positivity ambassadors maybe go home and, in their private life don't necessarily feel that great in themselves. I want to, and it's an adjustment, in a lot of ways, from physically, your physical movement, and also the way that you navigate your boundaries and your energy and things like that. And so I'm curious, do you focus on that at all? Like boundaries, energy? I know because you're an event producer, like bi-coastal. I literally would not have survived my wedding without you producing my entire wedding. So that's all. And it was gorgeous. It was at Chelsea Piers. It was like one of the most, so beautiful.
You were beautiful. That first look was one for the history and books, because that was pretty special.
I'd say Brian probably made that because his facial expressions.
Good guy. That was. I looked at that and I was like, that's a nice person right there. Like, because sometimes we don't get to know people that well, because we're just talking about one thing. For me, I am working on that currently, like as we speak. I got really into Orange Theory when I came out here, and I was going like crazy. Like 5 times a week, I was doing like the running portion, the rowing portion, the lifting portion. Now what I have done is, like, today I actually just did a lift class, which is very rare for me because I have this weird stigma in my head. Jess, you're not really getting a workout. That's not true. And I'll be honest, I'm not totally convinced. I'm still on the fence, because for me, unless I'm walking out dripping wet, I didn't do something. Now, I also use high activity for focus because I was ADHD way before it became popular in the 70s, and I refused to take medication for it. And what we found is, because I was an athlete as a young girl, I was able to focus in school as long as I worked out before I went to school. My mom figured it out. My mom was brilliant this way. She always found loopholes to find my way. She taught me it's not how smart you are, it's how you are smart.
Your mom sounds like a freaking dream, honestly.
Precious.
I have so many, I want to hear more of this, but I've like in so many of my courses, so much of what permanence for weight loss or for any behavior change is looking at your belief systems that you got from your role models.
Yes.
And it's so huge unlearning those. I do not have the same role models as you. It's probably why I'm so good at what I do.
Yeah.
But that's a beautiful, beautiful message. Beautiful.
It is. And this is a woman who is horrible with nutrition. Absolutely horrible to this day. She's 83 years old and drinks orange soda and eats gummy bears. Like, she was a jazz musician. She was not domestic at all. I didn't have a good role model nutritionally, but I had a great role model emotionally. And that kind of speaks to what you do, right? This emotional connection.
Yeah, but what's interesting is that I had a role model who was like obsessed with eating healthy all the time. And you would say was nutrition, but the emotional part was the exact opposite of you. And also, I mean, I wouldn't say exact, but like, it was kind of opposite. And the value system was placed on your physical appearance, actually.
So we should do a study one day, because I will tell you, when my brother and I both went off to college, it was the first salads we ever had. We discovered salad bars, and we both came out of college vegans, gluten-free, I was gluten-free since I was a kid, but that was enforced upon us. We ate all the sugar cereals. We ate all the disgusting stuff as kids, because that's what we lived on. But when we went out on our own, it was almost like we did the opposite that most kids do, where they discover the fun food. It was healthy food for us. It was great.
But that is so interesting, because it just goes to show you, and this is the same thing, like, it's not about the food. It's about the motivation, the belief systems around the food that you had. Mm-hmm. And so even when I work with women now, they have this belief system that salad is a diet food. And I have to be like, but it's not. You're not on a diet if you eat salad. And now you still also, choose to eat, healthy, high nutritional value type stuff.
That's all. I mean, especially coming out to California, because I can eat the way that I want to out here, which is great.
Which is seeking that. You don't feel like you're doing it because you're on a diet or because you're right. Exactly.
Yeah. I've never been on a diet. I'll be totally honest. I might find myself eating less or getting the chocolate out of the house. I do have a sweet tooth at the end of every night. And this probably goes into something else that you talk a lot about. Sometimes I want a reward. And I do sometimes see, food as a reward. Sometimes Joe and I, specifically, my business partner, we reward ourselves after the job is done. And we do affiliate that with a great dinner or like something yummy. And I think that's healthy to a certain extent, but I can see how it goes overboard for certain people.
100%. The line of going overboard is when it's your only reward.
Right.
If it's your only reward, also if it's your escape. You and Joe, I know, probably talk about how stressed you are. And it's an intention that you go out and that you have this meal, and you also probably enjoy it and savor it. There's not guilt. You might walk out and say, oh my God, maybe I overdid that, whatever. Everybody does that. And I actually try to teach my clients to be okay with that. That's a sensation that you have to realize is not a failure. You didn't just binge, you just ate too much and just deal, that's okay. But the reward thing, I think, is fine, as long as it's not a compulsive reward, right? There's a difference between a compulsive reward and a intentional reward where you're awake to the entire experience that you're having, and it's a gratitude for yourself. It's not a punishment to yourself.
Exactly.
Or like an escape or something that's like, I would just want to escape all my stress, what happens, and I just deserve this. And I'm not even going to be intentional about what I'm choosing to eat. I kind of just want to shut off and numb, basically.
Yeah. I mean, it's like a drug addict. It's like anybody that takes any kind of substance to shield away from any kind of emotions that they're having. Mm-hmm. I'm probably the only one of my friends during COVID where I, after being sick, I became the healthiest I'd ever been. I was so in control of every move, everything I was doing through the five senses, not just eating, because I finally had the time in my life. I mean, I was under an enormous amount of stress because obviously our business, shut down, but it was the first time in my life to really take care of Jes on all levels. I mean, I've had my company since I was 18 years old.
That's so interesting, though. Why do you feel, and I feel like this is for so many people, but why do you feel like COVID gave you that permission to do it?
Well, because I had nowhere else I had to be. I mean, it was really just a very simple thing. It wasn't even I just didn't have a full day for once, you know?
Okay. So it was actually like, I'm not Beyonce. I don't have like, I can't do 2 days in like 24 hours, basically.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And so it's interesting because I released an episode once this airs, it'll be a couple weeks ago about self-care and like how to have self-care be generative and create almost what you're saying in your day to day. Do you feel like now that things have turned back on and are more normal as far as the time of the day, do you find that you can still bring that attitude to your life now? Is that something that you've taken with you from COVID?
Absolutely. In fact, it's part of my reason for being bi-coastal because we don't work a ton out here. And so I have to just have a lifestyle here. That's what I'm doing. I mean, we work mostly on the East Coast. We do some things out here, but in between those, I'm a California girl. I'm just having a wonderful life. It's
What are
great.
you doing out there?
I don't even know.
What part of California are you?
I'm in Marina del Rey near Venice Beach. So I'm next to the airport so I can get back and forth very quickly. But I wanted an option during slower times because our business is different now. It's fewer and further between, but they're bigger projects. So, which is great. But I'm a person that I do better when I'm busy. I need the productivity. So I just figured, while things are kind of mellow, I could just go have a nice life out here, which is just kind of what I'm doing. I go on the beach, I work out, I take bike rides, I walk 7 miles a day with the dog. My dog's lost 9 pounds since we moved here.
I love that. That sounds amazing. I'm so happy for you. I feel like that's huge.
It is. And then I'm not going to lie, I get bored. I'm a little sleepy and I'm about to do a whole stint on the East Coast for a long time. So that'll give me my fix and hopefully I'll get exhausted there and then I'll come back and like rest up a little bit.
Ah, that's good. I mean, I feel like that it sounds like you found like a really good balance for yourself in that area.
Yeah. I'm kind of just exploring the other creative sides of myself. I think something that I've realized, even though my industry's become very, very overpopulated, it's also such a small world and there's such a big world out there. And when you are a creative, there's so many other things you can do, and I like to tap into that. So I'm taking the time in between projects and I'm taking on projects that are pretty big and pretty challenging, which I also really like. And I'm kind of just self-care is definitely becoming something. I'm paying attention. I am aware of my sleep patterns, like we discussed. I am aware of what it's like being on hormone replacement versus not being on hormone replacement. I had a hysterectomy when I was 47.
Okay.
So I was thrown into menopause and they put you on hormone replacement as soon as you're out. And then 7 years later, they took me off completely. And I noticed that wasn't good. So now I have been kind of dabbling with holistic medications and biosynthetic hormones, which I actually am kind of really interested in. You have to make an investment in yourself and decide whether or not you want to go down that road. But I do have somebody that I work with that has been really interesting and that's something I would have never done for myself before or as options. I always listen like a good girl. Like a doctor tells me one thing, I'm like, okay, now I'm listening to my body and
Amazing.
my body's going to tell me what I need.
I'm just for out of curiosity, are you working more to increase estrogen naturally?
Yes, I was doing that nutritionally and it was going pretty well. I was, eating lots of soy and, edamame and all that kind of stuff. The problem is when you've had a hysterectomy, you have no estrogen at all in your body. Everything's gone, testosterone, everything. I do take a sublingual kind of, troche kind of situation under my tongue. I just started a couple weeks ago of a biodynamic kind of hormone mix, which is like estradiol, testosterone. I'm taking some progesterone at night to help me get those 6 hours of sleep because that's a problem for me. I'm up all night long.
Yeah. So the circadian rhythm thing, especially when you're taking estradiol, which is the pure form of
Yes.
estrogen. Yeah. Have you heard of something called cortisol steal?
Yes. Yes.
it is so good that you are in California with the slower lifestyle, focusing on the sleep and focusing on the self-care, because cortisol can steal estrogen.
Yes. Luckily, my cortisol was not high. I
Perfect.
did all my blood work, and I'm on a supplement that helps balance out all of that. It's just a regular vitamin you can buy on Amazon,
Oh,
So that's kind of interesting. I thought it was a myth, but a lot of the issues when you are in menopause and you are a middle-aged woman, and there is that layer of fat, no matter what you eat, no matter what you don't drink, it's there because it just comes. And, you can embrace it to a certain point, but if it is hurting like the quality of your confidence and things like that, it's okay to explore.
yes. It's also really important and totally valid to acknowledge that you want to put energy and effort into finding a solution for that.
Absolutely. That's the thing. You have to love yourself enough to know that you need to fight for yourself. That's a job, right? That is your full-time job. You need to fight for yourself, even though you can hire professionals like yourself or anybody. At the end of the day, you're going to do it. Like, you got to do it. You can get advice, you can get the pills, you can, whatever it is. At the end of the day, and I say this, listen, we're all responsible for our own happiness as well. Getting a husband isn't going to fix it. It could add to it. But like at the end of the day, you are completely responsible for who you are. Me as a creative, I'm responsible for finding inspiration. Some people are like, oh, how come you're not doing this? And I can't answer, oh, because I don't feel inspired. That's my fault. That's my fault.
Yep.
The first day I went to Orange Theory, I worked out and they said, what do you think of it? And I said, it felt a little easy. And the coach looked at me, he goes, that's on you. And I was like, oh,
Mm.
shit. I was like, right on. And then I elevated my performance. He was right. It was on me.
That I mean, I really could not have said it better myself. And I'm so happy that we got to this place in the conversation, because I say that all the time, that you are responsible, radical responsibility. When you can accept that as something that's that's a gift.
Right.
Like, pressure is a privilege, Billie Jean King.
Yes.
It's like the same thing. It's a privilege to have this body, and it's a privilege to have this life. And at the end of the day, like you said, you can have every intention. You could do your vision board. You could really want it. You could really want it so badly. You can collect tons of memes on your Instagram saved folder, and like tons of carousels with the why I got here, and this, is this reason why you have this issue. But if you don't invest
Yep.
in the solution for yourself, and you don't look at your life and you say, where am I investing in other areas, energetically or financially, that I am spending this time, this money, I am investing a currency, whether it's time or money, in something else, and you don't change it, then it's on you. And then if you do invest, which you did, you're responsible for the results. Obviously, you want to, like Orange Theory, you invested in the program because you liked the program, right? But you have to get the results, and you have to show up and amp up the way that you're showing up to it. And that's such an important message for people of all ages, not just people who are 50s, 40s. Start that when you're in your 20s, to start viewing your life radically responsibly. I feel, for myself, I feel blessed that because of my upbringing, I did really have that mindset from my late teenage years. I was like, I am the only one. And I reread my journals, actually, from I found them from 2009. And there's actually words in there that are like, I know that I am responsible to make myself happy. I know that my life is up to me, all these things.
That is the first thing. Even in marriage, it's so funny. I mean, I am no longer married, but one of the best things you can do when you're fighting is to take the blame. Honestly, because at the end of the day, the sooner you take the blame for certain things, the sooner you can move on. The sooner you can forgive yourself, the sooner you can forgive the other person, or the other person can forgive you. I definitely have that inside of me, that I know if I'm acting irresponsibly, physically, eating, overusing my body, I'd blame myself.
Well, let's say you take responsibility for yourself. Blame, I feel like, is a hard word.
Blame is a hard word, but it's not to take it. I mean, I'm still Jes. I'm still standing here.
Yeah.
I blame myself, but I'm still going to get up tomorrow and I'm going to do what I can to rectify.
Yeah, I mean, when I always say that, I mean, you don't have to do the crazy things, but you should view yourself in your own goals and your own desires. And if you really want to feel a certain way, look a certain way, you need to show up to those actions and to those day-to-day activities and those choices.
Right.
And you need to make them.
Mhm.
Like, you need to make them, you need to invest in them. If you want your life to be a certain way, you need to take that leap of faith for yourself.
You do.
If you know that you have something that if you invest in it, it's going to give you returns
Yep.
and it's going to work for you, you invest in it. So there are so many people that they'll be like, this is the right thing for me. This is I think this might work for me, but they just won't invest in it because they don't see the results yet. And it's like belief takes you.
It's the patience too that a lot don't have. So that's the other thing, like I kind of wanted to discuss. Back in the day, I could change my diet for 3 days and my body would drastically change. If I needed to lose 5 pounds, I knew that I could lose 5 pounds, probably like in 2 days, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
That changes. And it might take a month instead of a few days, but you can't quit after the few days because you didn't see the results so fast. Things do take a little bit longer as you grow longer in the tooth. It's kind of, that's the way. And you have to take the journey. And I don't know. I just think that there's such a great way to be well-rounded in this world, and I love that you're an advocate for that. You're like, stop counting all these things, have that piece of pizza. Oh, look at me. I'm having a glass of wine. I love that because a lot of people see things in black or white. They don't see it as a multi-level journey. And it is. And it's more exciting that way anyway. It's like either, you're either starving yourself or you're eating. That's not true. It's just regulating, going back to the balancing and all that kind of stuff and seeing what other kind of elements are affecting your progress.
Your environment, your relationships, your energy. I always say, like, you don't just metabolize food, you metabolize people, you metabolize energy. You metabolize the energy of the place you're in, of the people you're around. And to your point about patience, it's so true. I mean, also when you're younger, your brain is different. Like, you are thinking in very micro levels. So it's like, I lost 5 pounds. Do I remember how bad I felt when I bounced back and gained 8 pounds like a week and a half later when I did that at 25, at 23? Probably not. But as you get older, you just ground more into seeing, you have a more global way of looking at life rather than like a very local way of looking at life. And I teach people that in my program too. I actually have a local, regional, and global strategy that I teach people about actually. And I use those words exactly because I do think that it's when you get to the place of of being able to make your choices from a global place, because you factor in a lot of different things and a lot of different, but you only can do that when you value yourself on a very deep level. And you understand that sometimes the immediate gratification of something, whether that's a food or losing 5 pounds, it doesn't trump the long-term self-esteem and the long-term, like, really feeling good in your body, because the highs and the lows of it are that nets out to like chaos to me. It doesn't net out to feeling grounded. So maybe I was 5 pounds lighter for this event, but like, if I look at it holistically, it's kind of chaos. Whereas, you want a situation where it's not chaos and that maybe it's not as sensational of results right away, but you have to just keep, stay the course, do the work, and it's not even that hard, honestly. Once it becomes your routine, it's just regular. And I think that people aren't comfortable with that. They're not comfortable. Like to what you said about people wanting to be black and white, there is a subconscious relaxation or sense of safety and
Yeah.
comfort in extremes and in black and white.
Yeah. And I think, this is a world of I want it now. You can order DoorDash or Uber Eats and you want everything right now. And, the younger generations are being raised that they can get whatever they need right now. So why can't they lose 5 pounds right now? They'll take Ozempic or they'll take, whatever it is, or a cleanse, a 5-day cleanse, which I think I can't stand those, but
The worst.
it is. It's really an interesting culture. What I love about it is when you're taking care of yourself, you almost have a best kept secret. And there is a veneer to you that people respect and love. This is so funny because you're going to laugh. I'm watching Summer House for the first time. I hadn't watched it and I'm addicted to it. And one of the people in the house becomes sober after he was like a total jackass, drunk, crazy. And I'm watching the season where he's sober. He is so desirable as a person all of a sudden because he's taking his own path while all of his roommates are drunken maniacs, but he's enclosed almost like a little butterfly, like ready to kind of blow out. It's this beautiful thing when you're on a path to achieving something that makes you feel wonderful about yourself. It's like a little Christmas present all bowed up inside of you. And it gives you this relaxation like you were talking, and it gives you this aura of kind of just being a better person.
It's the authentic self-confidence that people are looking for, that they think they're going to get in a result.
Yes.
And that's why I always say results is not confidence. Result is not healing. Having a result is not true confidence. It's just not. You can lose your weight 5, 20, 30, whatever. But there's an energy of somebody where that that's what they're focused on, right? And that's they're focused on their safe macro count, their safe meal plan, their safe this, and they're like, okay, I'm doing it, and then I'm going to get to a result, and all of a sudden I'm gonna be me, and I'm gonna be the butterfly. And it's like, no, if you weren't doing the work that it takes to get to be the butterfly the whole time, and you were doing the work that it takes to be something else, you're not going to finish that and become the butterfly. It's just not going to happen. The butterfly unfolds from a process, and you need to be in that process. And then you unfold into what you just described. And people almost want the verified evidence of that before they commit to the non-sensational stuff that you have to kind of invest in, whether that is investing in a solution, or whether it's a person, or whether it's just, and then it's your just day-to-day rituals and routines that don't have to be that rigid either, right? I'm sure there are some days where you think you're going to do this and then you end up doing this in a different way. You need to have a malleability and agility to your mindset as well, right? There are some days that I think I'm going to do a 6-mile run, and then I end up doing a yoga class and not a run, or a 15-minute walk, or 20 minutes. What I will do is I'll say to myself, I thought I was going to do a 6-mile run, but what my takeaway was that my body's ready for activity today. So I thought that I was going to do a 6-mile run, but if I'm being truthful, that's not really what's best for me right now. But I'm not going to just bail on the activity altogether because I can't do the 6-mile run. I'm going to be creative, and I'm going to find a different thing to do. And I think that's what people need to understand. They need to learn the skill of doing that, of being able to adjust.
They need to pivot, because I agree. I've had situations too where I realize that I'll be really honest, I have a bunch of friends that might want to go to brunch. And I already know I don't want to eat that meal. I just don't. I know that there's going to be a ton of things there that I already know myself that I'm going to have, and I don't want it that day. I just don't. And I also know that maybe I don't have the strength that day to not partake, or to partake in it only an inch and I'll go a mile. I easily say to my friends, listen, why don't I meet you after and we will go for a walk? I would love to see you, because that's the main reason why I wanted to go to the brunch anyway. but I got to be honest, I don't trust myself going to brunch today. Knowing yourself and being honest with yourself is so key. And as you grow older, I just want to tell everybody it gets easier. And your friends accept you for it too. Your friends are like, I dig that. Your friends are like, I totally get it, Jes. You don't want to eat a 4,000 calorie meal at 11 a.m. on a Sunday because you want to do other things, and you don't want to just sit there and not eat. I'm just going to forego the brunch. It doesn't interest me that day. It's not a positive thing for me, but I'm going to meet you right after so we can go walk around.
That is literally what I teach the women I work with.
Mm-hmm.
And you clearly, but look, let's circle back to where we started, the belief system and the role model that you had with your mom to like focus on you, that you're enough. Always focus on like your inner self and trust that person, right? You had that growing up. A lot of the women I work with did not have that. So I had to grow that in myself too. But that skill is so key.
It's key.
And I'm so glad that you said that. And it maybe it gets easier, but I have to tell you, I have women of all ages that I work with. They're women your age, my age, that can't even that would be very difficult for them to do. And that's something that we work on, is communicating that, trusting that you're not going to be exiled from your friend group. It's not a failure or it's not embarrassing. And that's why it all starts and ends with your belief system about yourself, and building that up and unlearning all of the negative or, non-skillful or just not helpful belief systems that you were raised with so much, or that were downloaded into your psyche from wherever you learned it from. That skill of just knowing yourself, like you said, and being able to say, I'm not going to go, or, going and sitting there. And I think this is another skill, but if you know yourself that you're not going to be able to do this,
Yeah.
I have been able to get to a place where I'll be like, I'm just not eating.
Sorry to interject, but
yeah.
What happens is sometimes you change history, where they're like, you know what? We're not even going to ask her to brunch. We're actually going to go on a hike with her. We're going to ask her when we do something, right, that she would want it.
Exactly. The thing that people need to understand is that we come from such a society, especially as women, to be people pleasers, and also to just acquiesce and and just go with whatever's put in front of us. But exactly like you said, with your ability to change the trajectory of how people connect to you and are there for you, and the quality of connection and the activity binder that you can, and the activity vehicle that you can have with your friends, people are more than happy to do things for you if you let them know how to do them for you. And that's also one of the biggest things that I work with women with relationships, right? You talk about relationships. It's like, that is, relationship's not going to make you feel good about yourself or connected. You need to have the skill of being able to do that, to create it, right? And you're right. People will be happy to adjust for you because you matter to them. And that's enough. It's not because you're eating food with them.
Right. It tests your friendships a little bit. You kind of see who your real friends are.
Yep.
And those are the same friends too. If there's a birthday celebration, yeah, I am going to go, and it's great. It's once in a while, but my friends know now for a fact that I'm just not a brunch person. They already know that. They know it'll take up the rest of my day, and I don't want to deal with that. Yeah, it's really interesting. What I marvel at is I watch these moms in the park with their kids, all these snacks, all over the place, right? Or people that get married to men that eat a lot of stuff. And I remember when I was married, I was heavier because my husband ate a lot, and I was eating with him. And I definitely have noticed that because I'm single, I'm able to really lasso any kind of eating behavior I want. I don't have to be accountable or have things in the house that are a trigger for me. And so I really kind of marvel at these people that deal with that as well.
You're so right. And I have a lot of the women I work with have that lifestyle where they're married to partner, or they have partners who are not healthy. And there's a lot of that, learning how to become interdependent and realizing some codependent dynamics that are at play to no one's fault, just might happen or whatever. And recognizing those. And this is the boundary work, that you really have to do. And I'm not saying it's easy at all, but, Brian definitely eats he eats healthy, but like there are definitely times where I'm like, I'm not eating this. I mean, even so, this is such a good example. We were invited on Friday night to happy hour and then pizza afterwards. Okay. People who follow me on Instagram, or you might know that I do pizza on Sunday nights. Okay. I have pizza on Sunday nights. That is like my thing. And I look forward to it. And it's like, I'm excited for it and I love it. Now, this past week, I ended up eating way too dense and heavy over the weekend. My in-laws were here. So actually, I didn't have pizza Sunday night, but it was challenging for me to make that choice. I had to go to my higher self and be like, you're going to feel gross. It's just not a good idea. But I doubled down on the fact that I'm having pizza next week. So when we were invited for this pizza, I said to Brian, just so you know, we're going to go to the happy hour, but I'm not eating this pizza on Friday night because that is not the pizza that I want. And I really want to have this pizza on Sunday. So we're not having pizza on Friday night. And he was like, okay, we're not going to have pizza on Friday night. Of course. Yeah. And so I'm connected to myself enough to know how to make myself feel good. And then by extension, I'm able to share that from an unapologetic but collaborative place. And that's it. You have to have that self-awareness to be able to do it. It's really just keeping your eye on the boundaries and on the self. I feel like discipline is such a hard word, but like your anchors, the commitments, your self-commitments. To your point earlier, I am the only one that can hold myself to my commitments. It's nobody else's job. Do I always hold myself to my commitments? No, but 98% of the time, do I hold myself to my commitments? Yes.
Yeah.
And it's one of the reasons why I think look the way I do, I like feel the way I do, I show up the way I do, because really 98% of the time I do show up to the commitments. And because I've done it so long, it doesn't feel hard. Okay, I'm cutting us off because we could literally talk for hours, days. Honestly, this was so fun.
Awesome.
I know, this was so fun. Anything you have that you want to promote, that you want people to look out for you? I know that you have a book. Your book is called Party on the Moon.
It is. Yeah.
And that you've officially become a bi-coastal company and you work globally.
Yes.
So can you talk a little bit about the kind of events that you
Yeah, we're doing some really cool stuff. We basically do every kind of event, but we also consult in all different kinds of art direction and creative direction. So we just helped design Madonna's world tour, the stage. Yeah, so we will do things like that, but then we'll do a wedding. Obviously, we'll do a bar bat mitzvah, but then we'll do a huge corporate retreat for Google. So we're actually being really diverse. And that's kind of my goal right now. Since I've done it all and I've been in business for so long, I think diversity of creativity is kind of my goal at the moment, just to keep me happy.
Name of your company and your Instagram handle.
My company is called Jes Gordon /Proper Fun. And Proper Fun came about when I was very young and I was hanging out with a really famous fashion designer who was a good friend of mine. His name was Alexander McQueen. And we were in London and I was producing one of my first events. I think I was like 19 in London. And we were watching and this beautiful woman came across the floor and she pulled her hair back and she threw up in a plant and like wiped her mouth, went back to the party. And he turned to me and he goes, well, isn't she having proper fun? And so the DBA of my company is Proper Fun. So it's Jes Gordon Proper Fun.
I've never heard that story before, and I freaking love that story. I also love anything that sounds sort of British, like Proper Fun.
Proper Fun, yes. Yeah. And my Insta is just Jes Gordon. We do have another Insta now that's called Proper Fun Events. It's my sister Insta. And I'm on Twitter, Proper Fun, LinkedIn, all that good stuff. I'm on all of it.
Oh, man. Oh, my God, Jes, this was amazing. This was so much fun. Thank you so much. And for all of you listening today, I hope you got through this whole episode because it was so good. I think this was our longest episode yet, but I just want to thank you all so much for joining me today. And if this episode resonated with you, please join me again next week with another new episode about emotional eating so you can fall in love with eating, start losing weight, and keep it off with sustainable strategies and lasting change. If you found this episode insightful, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with those who may benefit from this empowering knowledge. I have lots of free resources on my website to support you on your journey to loving food, losing weight, feeling amazing in your body and your best self. Just go to www.bewell.com ak.com. And until next time, I'm Alana, and thank you for listening to Emotional Eating Unwrapped.